Hey, this is Mike and Tom with the Muscle and Speed podcast. We're here to talk about our favorite car movies, TV shows, music, and workouts, wheeling, whatever else comes to our mind. We're going to be posting these up once a week. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube at Muscle and Speed. We also have a website, www.muscleandspeed.com, where we'll eventually be selling some merch. Our goal here is to share our passion for all these things with the people who feel the same way.
Okay.
And we're back every Tuesday, as promised. It's been, 3 weeks? And now it's Wednesday.
Yeah, now it's Wednesday.
That's all right. Hey, it's not been 4 or 5 months like last time.
Yeah.
We're back. This is Mike and Will of Muscle and Speed. We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. We got a whole list of things. First off, Street Outlaws had their season finale on Monday. It was pretty cool. They had some drama. They always do, of course, but this, to me, is the good kind of drama, the racing drama. Chuck and Doc raced, I believe, for third and fourth, and they both punched it off the line. I mean, these cars, when they started this show, I don't know exactly how much power they made when the show started 10 years ago, or whatever it was, 8 years ago now, but I want to say they were a little over 1,000 horsepower then. Maybe a little more than that, but they were somewhere in that range. Now they're making close to 4,000 horsepower. Some of them make more than that. And they're still racing on unprepped streets that you and I would drive on. So, insanity, right? Well, Chuck and Doc launch. Chuck immediately turns a hard right, almost hits Doc. Somehow doesn't roll it. Because what people don't understand is like those big balloony tires, when you get out of shape, the sidewall doesn't hold, so it wants to roll. He gathered it up, he straightened it out, and he finished the race, so it wasn't so bad. Doc got away without getting hit. Chuck didn't hit the curb. He didn't roll his car. All is well, but a little bit of drama. Big Chief lost because he jumped. He was number one. He's racing the Fireball Camaro, Ryan. And he jumped. He beat Ryan, but he clearly jumped. So what that means is they do a flashlight launch. So a guy stands in the middle. Remember on Pink's, he did the arm drop? Well, on this, they pop up and hit a flashlight on. When the flashlight comes on, you go. Well, Big Chief went way early. And so then he lost, and he lost his position. So Ryan's number one, Chief's number two, but they agree that's a crappy way to win the crown. So they re-race, and Chief beats him. So I guess all's well. It ends well if you're a Chief fan. And then they showed some farm truck and Asian. They go out and street race. They have a slew of cars now. So it's not just the farm truck anymore, and they had the Ghana rail out. Have you seen this?
Nope.
It's an all aluminum, like some sort of, I don't know if it's like a rail car. Did they get it from a roller coaster? I don't remember. I did see the episode where they built it, but I don't remember exactly where it came from.
Well,
It's an all aluminum body, multi-seat, something you would see at a circus or something. I don't know. But they put a really big engine in it. They put tires on it, and they race people with it. And they raced a couple cars, and one of them was a newer Dodge Viper, and they smoked both of them. So it's pretty neat.
Is it because it's lighter or what? I mean, what's
there's a lot of things going on there. It's kind of like the farm truck itself. If you've ever seen it, the farm truck is an actual 1968 Chevy long box farm truck with a topper on it even. But the rear end is narrowed. It has massive tires on it, and it has, 2,000 horsepower. So just because you're in a nice Lambo doesn't mean crap on the street. That farm truck will destroy you.
Well, it's all about balance, too.
Right. Balance, grip, and torque. And it is. It's pretty nuts. A lot of fun, And then the next thing was getting away from Street Outlaws. Hot Rod Garage dropped a new episode on Motor Trend on Demand. They upgraded a mid 80s Thunderbird Turbo Coupe. Now that's that 2.3 liter four cylinder turbo.
Is that the ugly Thunderbird?
Yeah, well, ugly. You know, I had an '88 Mercury Cougar. They're very similar.
Cougar different.
Not exactly the same, but similar. The '80s or the '80s. You either like that those kind of things or you don't. But
Right there.
um, the 2.3 liter turbo, though, the reason that they were doing it is it was 150 horsepower from the factory for a variety of reasons. So what they did is they went to this racing group. They got a new camshaft for it. So a reprofiled camshaft. They got a performance intake and an upgraded turbo from a modern EcoBoost style. So the EcoBoost is Ford's new four-cylinder that's turbocharged they put in the Mustang, and it makes over 300 horsepower. So their point was, even in this 80s turbo coupe that had 150 horsepower, you can change the camshaft over to something more modern. You can put these parts on there, and it's going to make just as much power as those new Mustangs, but in a lighter 80s Thunderbird. And so they did that. They showed like all the stuff they went through. And it did. It made 278 horsepower to the wheels. So that's about 315, 325 horsepower at the crank. And so that's about equal to the EcoBoost Mustang. So very cool. I'm sure in future episodes they're going to be drag racing that thing. But I thought it was really cool. It's one of those things. You see a car like, though the 80s Thunderbirds and Cougars, they have a specific look. I kind of like it, but when I say that, it's kind of like how I kind of like other things. I like it. I like that it's out there. I like that some people are into them and they build them, but I don't need to own that.
Spend money on that.
Yeah, I don't need one. But I do like it. I really do. And so part of me bringing this up is that I'm a big advocate for Motor Trend On Demand. It's a online monthly subscription fee. You can watch it on most of your devices these days. If you're running internet through your Xbox, or you've got an Apple TV or Amazon Fire TV, either way you can get the Motor Trend On Demand app, and it's either $5.99 a month. I think for Father's Day they're running a $2.99 special. It has the entire backlog of pretty much every car show on Discovery, which is a lot. Including a bunch of old shows that aren't on anymore, like Overhauling and some of the original Hot Rod TV, which was a TV show in the early 2000s. They got a bunch of that stuff. So, if you're into it, get it. I mean, it's a no-brainer. And they have all the original Motor Trend On Demand shows, some of which you might have heard of, some of which you may have seen reruns on the Velocity channel. They've got Roadkill Garage, Hot Rod Garage, Dirt Every Day, Ignition, Head to Head. They've got all these different shows on there, and they're really well shot. They're really nice. They're usually somewhere between 40 minutes to even 10 minutes. Muscle and Speed has been on. Questions we've submitted have been asked on their extra show where they do fan Q&As. So that's been kind of cool. We've been on there a few times with that. It's pretty cool. I really like it. And if you're into cars, they have auto racing on there as well and stuff that you wouldn't normally see. So very cool.
Yeah.
Just get it. Okay. So next thing, the 2020 Ford Bronco. They're bringing it back. They're going back to the well.
Thoughts and feelings.
Yeah. Well, you want to talk about, Motor Trend did an article on, it's the top 5 things that the 2020 Bronco must have to be successful. Now, I don't agree with all of these, but they said the rear spare tire, on the back of the vehicle, similar to the way the Wrangler is. They saw the boxy shape from like the first gen models through, say, the early 80s models. Yeah.
Yeah.
The two-tone paint, the crazy graphics. I don't know about those last two. Some of them looked really cool that way, and most of them didn't. That's the truth.
It's true.
Deal with it. So what are your top 5? Like, you're imagining, you're a car designer, you're at Ford, and you're sitting there with the bean counters and the engineers and everybody, and you're like, well, if we're going to do this, this is what it's got to be.
Well, I liked this. I kind of liked the style of the Ford Bronco too, but I wished that it would have been a full size SUV.
Yeah.
I always thought it was kind of small, but I think if they'd have taken the Ford Bronco 2 and made it bigger, but I just, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I'd have to see their designs for a new Ford Bronco to see what they're talking about because most of the SUVs nowadays look exactly the same.
It's true.
Almost
Very
all.
true.
The
It's the
Ford
problem
Bronco,
with all their designs.
yeah, it's like they're all taking. They just got this big pool and they're just making so it's all the same shell, just a different name.
Right. Well, even the Mustang and the Camaro are getting really close to each other now in terms of design. There isn't, I mean, obviously, you and I and car people, and certainly anybody who's listening to this, can tell the difference right away when they're looking at
Yeah,
it. But if you see a silhouette of one, it gets a little bit tougher to differentiate. Now, I'll still notice the fastback versus the coupe roofline. But to me, the most distinct one is the Challenger still. You know what the problem with the Challenger is? Where do you go from here? You have that shape. What can you do with that? It kind of is what it is.
it is. Yeah,
Now, the good news is it looks amazing. You know, I
because
seen
it
someone write an
almost
article the other day, and they're like, "Oh, it's been since 2008. It kind of looks the same." Like, yeah, it does. Thank
yeah
God. They
yeah
haven't screwed it up. You know, unlike, and I'm gonna throw this out there. I think I've mentioned it before, though. The 2018 and 19 Camaro, I'm not a fan. I don't like what they did to the front end of the car.
yeah. I don't know. I haven't seen. I've only seen a couple of them. And of course the pictures that I come across, it's uh, personally owned new Camaros or the fake test shots.
Yeah.
Where it's not the actual car. So I'm unsure. I don't really like the new Camaro body style anyways because it's pretty much stayed the same, right?
Yeah.
Since they came back
For
out,
the most part.
it's only changed a little bit, just like
In
the Mustang.
2015, it shrunk a little bit and got lighter, um, which made it a better car. It went to the ATS platform that the Cadillac was using, and it did make it handle better, and it was a lighter car.
Yeah.
Is a lighter car. Maybe it was 2016. It was something like that.
The performance is amazing
Yeah, they're amazing.
on muscle cars. It's amazing what they can do.
455 horsepower, whatever they're getting out of it now. That's insane. Insane.
Yeah, but the Bronco, I think you would. It's always worked with the Jeep. The Jeep's always kept the tire on the back. I think you put the tire on the back just because that's a Bronco staple.
How do you feel about the square shape?
No,
You don't need it?
I wouldn't go fully square because you can't reproduce what was already there.
Yeah, it's true.
You've got to do something different. I just don't want it to look like a new Durango or something or whatever the big
Hey,
SUV is.
I
Whatever.
have a Durango.
Yeah, well, I know, but you don't want them all to look the same.
No, I don't. No, and they all have their strengths and weaknesses, and I think that's what makes it all fun. If they were all exactly the same and it was basically like NASCAR with, one guy with different stickers than your stickers,
Yeah, you got the Wonder Bread.
having the same one. There is a guy that is determined to call me right now, and I have to mute it. He's a nice guy. He's a trucker, and he's selling a 1963 and a half Ford Galaxy 500 convertible. Now,
Oh,
Tommy and I kind of want to go look at it, but I mean, he told me right up front it's pretty far gone. Honestly, it would probably be a parts car if we were looking at that, and I don't think we're going to do it. But he's been very persistent now that I've talked to him. So I'll have to call him after this. But nice guy. Just I don't think that's going to work for us. But yeah, the Bronco. How do you feel about 4-cylinder V6, V8, turbo, any of that?
I wouldn't make a four-cylinder anything.
Yeah.
Unless you're making the newer version of the Gremlin or whatever little gas sipper that you're wanting to drive around, I would not make a four-cylinder anything.
Well, you know they're getting rid of all their cars.
Who?
Ford and Chevy. The Fiesta, the Focus, the Taurus, the all Impala, the Cobalt.
Is it going to be called like the Unicar? It's just
Well,
going
they're
to
doing those little
be
SUV crossover things, and they're going to sell their trucks, and they're going to have the Camaro and the Mustang, and that's it.
that's it.
Chevy has the Corvette. Ford has the GT. Although I don't know if they're going to keep. I don't think they're going to keep making that past this year. So.
Well, if they come back out with the Bronco, they got to do something special with it. They got to do something. They
Like a
can't.
Raptor version that has like crazy shocks and big tires and
Well, some something to make it a Bronco.
yeah.
Something for some. They got to do something
What
to.
about the rear part of the roof? Do you want that to come off like the old ones?
Yes.
I
Yeah,
always thought that was a pretty cool
I tell
feature.
you what, brother, I saw one for sale years ago now. This was at a used car dealership. It was a 1984, 85, I think, Bronco, and it was black, and it had the blue splash graphics up the side and the bigger wheels on it, but that thing was beautiful. I mean, you're talking mint condition,
I
with only
love the Ford Bronco, but you know what cracks me up about it?
uh,
It's a stupid meme I saw. It's this rooster with like that red thing on their head like flopped
yeah.
over kind of in its face, and it's got like a little cigarette in its mouth, and it's like this chicken looks like it's trying to sell me a 78 Ford Bronco. That just kills me every time I see it.
But they should. It's the same reason why I think that they should have T-tops for the new Camaros.
Yeah.
It's because that's what makes it signature. That's
Yeah.
why that's where you really know what you got. It's the same thing. I mean, of course, they don't make Pontiac no more. There's no more Pontiac Trans
You
Ams.
know what's interesting? You say that, and you're right. What's interesting to me about that is the modern Corvettes still have the removable roof.
Yeah,
That doesn't do anything for the rigidity of the Corvette or its lightness. So the fact that they still have it tells you, though, that that's part of its heritage and it's something that they want to keep.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. The T-tops, you don't want to lose all of a vehicle's character in the name of trying to get 2/10 more out of the Nürburgring time.
Yeah.
You know, the differences in the character of vehicles is what makes them special, and it's what builds your fan base. I don't think there's anybody out there who's arguing that a Hellcat is faster around a track than even an SS1LE Camaro or a Track Pack 2 Mustang GT, because it isn't. But the guys buying Hellcats don't care. They are buying that because of the way it looks, the way it makes them feel when they drive it, and the passion that they have for that car. And Mustang and Camaro owners the same thing. So Ford and Chevy, and I think Ford to a certain degree gets it, and they've been I think more careful than GM about the heritage of the design of the Mustang. And I think GM has kind of gone all out performance with the Camaro. And I guess up until 2017, I thought the Camaro looked amazing. They had some blacked out versions with black wheels with like the ground effects, the 1LE packages. That just looked sinister. That just looked insane. What a great car. Great sound. They had the active exhaust first. They had the magnetic ride first. They had all those things first, including a fully independent suspension that Ford didn't get to until 2015. So, design innovation was there for them. Ford kind of laid it out with that 13 and 14 GT500 with its 662 horsepower. So Ford really did start the horsepower war when they laid out that car, because that car got so much press, and oddly enough, Motor Trend, I believe, at the time stated that the Camaro ZL1 was still faster around a racetrack and more consistent around a racetrack. Nobody cared. Everybody shopping said 662 horsepower. But Dodge saw that, right? And the very next year, 2015, the Hellcat debuted at 707. And they've been chasing it ever since. Now, GM has not really gone after that. And some people feel it's because the Corvette is there and they don't want the Camaro to outshine the Corvette, which kind of makes sense, but maybe less so now because I believe the new ZL11LE has 650 some horsepower, so it's right up there. But I think there needs to be room for their uniqueness. That's the problem with NASCAR in your homogenizing of the different manufacturers and sticker use. You've kind of lost the soul of yourself as an auto manufacturer. There needs to be room for those differences. Because win, lose, or draw, those differences are what's attracting one person or another to your brand.
Well, how many car dealerships do I drive by when I head through town? Like 6?
Yeah.
And when I look over at the car dealerships, I'm not like everything is bland.
Yeah.
Everything I see is just car, truck, blah 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 blah. And then they'll have like a early '70s VW with a roof rack, and then they'll have a early '90s Corvette, and it's over in the used lot. But those are the cars that I see.
Right, they're the ones you want to stop and look at.
Yeah, everything else is crap.
Yeah. Yeah, I struggle with a lot of the new stuff. Tommy has a Taurus Show, and that car, it's all-wheel drive, turbocharged V6, 365 horsepower. He's got the special black paint. It's loaded. It is nice. It is really nice, and fast. And to me, that car has just enough differentiating it from the others where it's special when you see it. The wheels, the arrow, the little bit different badging. For a car guy, that's what it is. But to me, it's also kind of the modern sleeper. Unless you're really a car guy, you may not know what that is. You may overlook it, and it may whoop your butt if you're not ready. Same thing with my Durango. So I got the Durango RT. It's got a sportier suspension, sportier everything. It's got, the 5.7 Hemi. It's got the paddle shifters, 8-speed auto. So it gets out and goes pretty good. Most Durangos you see are not. They're V6s. But now I guess they do have the SRT Durango, which has that 6.4 liter Hemi that my Challenger had. So there's even a better version of it. I kind of like that kind of stuff exists just because to me that's that, Dodge Dart at the time. Most Dodge Darts you saw were slant 6, 3-speed on the tree, or, 2-speed power glide crap cars. They were meant to get you from point A to point B. They weren't meant to be fancy or exciting or anything. But every once in a while, someone had a 340 in it, and it was fast, and they were lightweight, and then they were cool, and you could get the plum crazy purple or something. You know what I mean? Same thing with these. They're just a little bit different for those who know what to look for. They see either the RT badges or the SRT badge or the show badge and those different wheels, and just gives a little bit different look. I like that stuff exists. I think a lot of it is going to go away, which is sad, but thankfully there doesn't seem to be any plans for the Mustang, the Camaro, and the Challenger. It sounds like they're all going to be around for quite a while. So Mustang's still the number 1 selling sports car in the world. Challenger's number 2 in the U.S. behind the Mustang, and the Camaro is a really close third. The Challenger and the Camaro are always really close to each other. I think it's hard for them to compete with the Mustang because it's sold globally now, so that's pretty tough. Lots of people are buying them, but it's all cool. It's all good stuff. Like I said, I feel like sometimes if all they produce is a truck, the trucks, you got to admit, again, you pull that silhouette up and a truck looks like a truck. You're not going to really know the difference between the Chevy, Ford, or Dodge. Guys that are really, really into them probably can, but to your average person, a truck's a truck. So, And I kind of feel that way about them. Like I don't have a strong feeling like one truck is better than the other. I think they have a little bit different features that differentiate them a little bit from each other. Um, but I don't think there's any like one thing where it's like, wow, the Ford just mops the floor with the Chevy, or the Chevy mops the floor with the Dodge, or any of that. I think they're all pretty close to each other and they're all good vehicles. So
All the old ones mop the floor with all the new ones
what's that?
all the old ones mop the floor with all the. I don't.
Well,
If
you
you
know
can drive
why?
somebody's truck, then they don't have a real truck.
Was
I
it
mean,
1973 or 74 when we got the rubber bumpers on cars?
I don't know. Rubber bumpers.
When everyone stepped in and started saying you had to have these certain types of bumpers and they have to be so high from the ground so you don't kill the pedestrians as easily as you used to. We want them to suffer in the hospital before they die. When all that crap started. That's when we started losing our design uniqueness, unfortunately. But I don't know. It is what it is, I guess.
One of the new trucks that I saw that stuck out to me, and the first time I saw it was it was like 6 years ago or so. It was the Raptor.
Yeah.
I saw one of those and I was like, what the heck is that? But other than that, I mean, yeah, Chevy, GMC, Ford, their trucks, they pretty much all the new ones. I don't know what their performance is,
it's good.
but they all look the same.
They have good performance.
I don't know, I don't know. I like steel machines when it comes to trucks.
Yeah.
That's just the.
Not a fan of the Ford aluminum F-150?
No, I see a truck and I see something.
It lost like 500 pounds. This will make you sad then. I think Chevy's aluminum truck is due next year.
Yeah.
Speaking of them all doing the same thing, there you go.
Yeah. With the tailgate that drops down that has a ladder on it, so you don't have to step up or climb or anything. It's all.
Yeah. Basically, that's what's going on. Yeah. So talking about that, how do you feel about the mid-engine Corvette? It's due out next month, first ever. Since they've had concept cars that were mid-engine, but this is going to be the first factory-produced mid-engine Corvette.
What does that mean, mid-engine?
Like a Ferrari. The engine's behind the driver.
Oh, okay.
Ford GT's mid-engine too.
Why not? If it's going to boost performance or create something a little bit different, go for it. Corvettes have always been awesome.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like about Corvettes is a two-seater.
I know.
I
want one really bad.
Yeah, I wanted one there too for a while.
Probably can't have one, but I really do want one. Wife keeps saying no, but yeah, it's going to be mid-engine. So I'm going to just throw the rumors at you. Let's see what you think. Okay, so the base V8 is going to be 500 horsepower supposedly, which is up 40 horsepower from where it is now. There's rumors that there could be a flat plane crank high performance version similar to the Ford Shelby GT350 has the flat plane crank V8. That just means it can rev really high. Ferrari engines are flat plane. That's why they sound like that. Ford worked really hard to give the GT350 kind of a really gnarly muscle car note, even though it has that flat plane crank kind of high pitched, fast hitting sound.
Yeah.
The other rumor is that it might be dual clutch automatic only, like a Porsche or something, or a Ferrari. End of the manual transmission, man. They're getting rid of all of them. The new GT500's automatic only, too.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a minute. But and then there's a possibility the Corvette's going to be all-wheel drive, or certain versions of it will be.
Oh, why not?
Here's what I think. Ready?
Go for it.
Jordan moves out in 5 years. It's just me and Julie. I have an all-wheel drive Corvette that I can drive all the time.
You still wouldn't do it. You wouldn't. Eric's hardcore. That's a hardcore place to ride around in.
I remember and this is many years ago now, and I'm trying to remember what show it was. It was one of the car shows, but it was probably 15 years ago. I was watching a special about a Porsche 911 owner who lived in Alaska. He bought the car brand new in 1970 whatever. This is an old Porsche, rear wheel drive, whale tail. 270 some thousand miles on it at the time. He takes it fishing. He drives everywhere. He puts chains on it and drives it in the winter. Doesn't care. That's his year-round, everyday car.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
that's what he wanted to drive. He didn't want to drive nothing else. I mean, that's what I tell everybody is how come you have that? And I was big because that's what I like to drive.
Right.
I don't want to drive something else. That's my car.
Right.
But I don't really have any. I don't really care if I'm going to go and spend any kind of thousands of dollars on anything. That it's going to be something that I actually want, not something people say practical all the time. Well, what's practical?
Well, you know what I always like to say? Pre 1980, everything was rear wheel drive. Everything. Every single car made, every single car sold, didn't matter where you lived or what you did, they were all rear
Well,
wheel
what
drive.
does Dad say? Dad says he cuts his teeth on rear wheel drive.
Well, and even in the modern era, pretty much every cop car you saw until very recently was rear wheel drive, and they drive them everywhere year round. So
But now,
it definitely can be done. Definitely.
what is it with the all wheel drive? Is it the even takeoff? Without, if you really want to punch it and you're not going to spin those back tires like there's no tomorrow because you've got the grip of all.
Right, there's that. It's the grip on launch, the grip out of a corner. Because, I mean, we're talking grip at the limit. When you have, let's say the highest horsepower version of the Corvette this time is going to be 750 horsepower. You have 750 horsepower coming out of a corner doing 35, 40 miles an hour, and you punch it, you better hold on to something, because if you don't have a lot of grip, it's going to spin and things are going to get wild real quick. So that's why they talk about rolling onto the throttle out of corners. So you don't do that. But that's part of it. They also have implemented, like in the newer Porsches, like a type of four-wheel steering where the rear wheels turn a little bit with the front to help you get around corners. Yeah. I don't know that they're going to do that, but they could with an all-wheel drive system like that.
But we've all taken all of these years. I mean, what cars? We grew up driving older cars, anyways.
Yep.
We didn't grow up driving a newer car.
Nope.
It was always the older cars. So that's what we're used to. But I don't know. I like driving what I'm used to driving. I'm not really interested in self-driving cars or self-parking cars.
I want one self-driving car.
You want one?
Yeah.
Because
if we're going to go somewhere and everyone's kind of cranky or tired, or I'm cranky or tired, it would be kind of awesome in a car, like to just, drink some warm milk and take a nap or something. I don't know.
I would freak out. If my car started driving down the road by myself, I would freak out.
Yeah, I think the sensation would be tough to get over, but yeah, I don't know. People suck at driving, though.
Yep, they do.
That's the other problem, and cell phones made it worse.
Yeah.
So
way worse.
Yeah. I don't know. So that's cool. The 2020 GT500. It's due out, I think, sometime the end of this summer.
Okay.
It's already debuted, but it's going to press is what I mean. So you're going to start getting those performance reviews and performance comparisons. All that crap's going to be coming later this year. So someone took the time out to write a well-written fake article that Motor Trend had to do a press release because everybody thought it was real. So no one has had seat time. No press people have had seat time, or at least haven't had seat time and been allowed to talk about it. So all of that stuff is fake. Nothing official has gotten out. Ford's still just kind of parading it around and showing it off and letting people drool over, what is likely to be an $80,000 car that with dealer markup, if you look at the Demons and stuff, it's probably going to be $100,000. So that's a lot of money for a Mustang, guys. That's all I'm saying.
Mustang.
And I love Mustangs. That is not a knock against a Mustang. It's just a lot of money. But a fully loaded GT is over $50,000 now. So that's crazy.
Nope.
So what we do know about the GT500 is that somewhere north of 700 horsepower. Some people have it as high as 800 horsepower. Some people say 755. We'll see. But it's somewhere north of 700 horsepower. Dual clutch only. We already said that. It's going to be an automatic. 3-second-ish, 0 to 60, high 10-second quarter mile. This is going to be a really, really fast car. 200 and some mile an hour top speed. It's going to be really fast, scary fast.
You know what bugs me about this kind of stuff, though? It's like elitists. Like they're taking. I mean, you remember the old muscle cars? They were super fast and dangerous, and kids started killing themselves. It was
Tires
like
and brakes and suspension, horrible.
So then they took and they lowered the horsepower. They put smaller engines in them. Still made them really awesome looking, so that kids could drive them and not kill each other.
Right.
On a regular basis.
That's called the 4-cylinder Mustang.
But now they're coming back out with these cars. Like I remember one time I told you that this girl was talking about buying me a car.
Yeah.
And it was a ridiculous car. And you told me, you said you have to be careful with a car like that because you can lift yourself right up off the line if you're not paying attention to what you're doing.
Yep.
Why are they creating these cars now for such a small percentage of people that could actually buy it?
Right. Well,
because
I mean,
anybody used to be able to get a car that they love.
My greater fear now, and this isn't a real, I'm just saying, when we're talking about this sort of thing, because I do think it's a problem, and it's a similar problem as to what we had before. So we have a for-hire military, meaning our government pays our military personnel, sometimes in bonuses, to serve. And that's not to diminish anybody's service. I'm just saying that's what they do, okay?
Yeah.
So you have a similar problem where you get these servicemen and women who they get these checks. They're young kids. What are they doing with the money? Well, in the used market right now, you can buy an older GT500 or, not so much the ZL1 Camaro, but even the Camaro SS and certainly the SRT8 Challengers. Now, these are all 400 and something to 500 and something horsepower unmodified that you can get for $20-some thousand if you're shopping around, maybe even cheaper. And these kids aren't looking for like the pristine, well cared for. They don't care. They're looking for the one they can get. And maybe they watch Fast and Furious or they, grew up on Gone in 60 Seconds and they want their version of Eleanor, Yeah, the same advice. These cars are ridiculously fast. They are. That Challenger I had, that black SRT8, it's a 2014, 485 horsepower, whatever it was. That was really, really, really fast, and I've had some fast cars. That was scary fast. Now, I know some guys would roll their eyes at that and say, well, I've driven the new Shelby, or I've driven this, or I've driven that. Hey, there's always a faster car. I know that. But in the right conditions or in the wrong conditions, on the wrong road at the wrong time.
You put a dumbass behind the wheel.
Yeah.
And a dumbass.
It's like ice skating. With 500 horsepower. So... yeah, I see what you're saying there, and I think someone wrote an article a while back. How about 10 years from now, when that 2015 Hellcat is $25,000, and you got young kids buying a 700 and some horsepower car?
Yeah, exactly.
That's wild. That's crazy to think.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a strange world. So I bet you're happy about the recent. Legislature with Michigan auto insurance.
What did they change? They take away no fault insurance?
They did.
That is great.
We were 83% higher than the national average.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I got rid of that Challenger was I was spending $200 a month in insurance to drive it part-time.
I got T-boned by a dentist in a parking lot, and he didn't have to fix my freaking car.
Right.
That kind of did it for me.
Your insurance goes up. So, and there's a lot of, especially insurance agents, they're trying to put a lot of paranoia out there about, you're not going to have enough coverage, you're going to get in an accident, and then
They never
here's the
give us
thing:
anyway.
83% of Americans don't have that level of coverage, and so what the coverage we have right now is unlimited. So they could bionic man you from a piece of yourself and cyborg you back into shape. By the way, they won't do that. That is not what they mean by unlimited coverage. That's what they like to say. It's not true. So what you can do now is set your maximum and set what all you're covering. So instead of unlimited, you can have $500,000 worth of coverage or $250,000 worth of coverage. $250,000 worth of coverage is a lot. Granted, yes, medical expenses are very high, and depending on what's happened to you, it may not be enough. However, that may not be your only form of insurance, so that still may not be a problem. Don't be afraid of it. Find out what's a good coverage for your region based on weather and other drivers and blah, 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 and get it. And you're going to save a ton of money in Michigan. It's a godsend. We've needed it forever. Do it. Do it.
As long as I don't have a guy running six figures, destroying my car, and then claiming it's not his fault,
Right.
I'm
Well,
okay.
in a parking lot, a cop won't do nothing either. So, yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah, it was a bummer.
But yeah, so the Ford versus Ferrari movie trailer just came out. So Matt Damon, Christian Bale, John Bernthal. It's a fantastic story about Ford going head to head with Ferrari in the '60s. Fantastic story. I can't wait to see it. I think it comes out in November. You saw the first trailer. What do you think?
I think it looks good. I'm always looking for a good true story
Yeah.
because those are different stories, especially if it's not something that's already been played out once before. But this I don't recognize,
Right.
so I'm interested. And plus, I love racing. I love
Can I
I love
spoil some
fast
of it
cars.
for you?
So, and Ferraris, you're talking about Magnum PI's car racing a Ford? Sure,
Well,
I'm
this
all
is
over it.
pre-Magnum. The Ferrari 308 didn't come out to the mid '70s. Um, no, it's you. This is better than fiction. Like Quentin Tarantino couldn't come up with a better story than this. Carroll Shelby's story himself. The man is a legend. Not just because of the Mustang work, the work that he did with Ford and the Mustang, the Cobra before the Mustang, and the GT40. He is amazing. And I'm trying to remember, is it Henry or Hank Mills? Was the British racing driver that they got to drive the GT40 at Le Mans against Ferrari. It's a really cool story, and it doesn't even seem like it'd be possible. It really doesn't. Carroll Shelby's a chicken farmer with a heart problem who was a championship racer who had to retire early, and then he took a British car maker and started stuffing Ford V8s in it and went racing anyway, and made a name for himself. And then when Enzo pissed off Henry Ford II, Henry Ford sought out Carroll Shelby to build a race car program to kick Ferrari's butt at Le Mans and embarrass them in front of the whole world, and it worked. So fantastic, a fantastic story. And this is not me like hating on Ferrari, because I don't. I'm a huge Magnum fan as well. I'm a huge fan of the Ferrari brand. The fact that, and anybody should appreciate this, and I'm going to parallel it to an American automaker or American auto customizer. Okay, that's a better name. Enzo created Ferrari to sell cars to fund racing. He actually never cared if you or I could own a Ferrari. He really didn't. What he wanted to do was to make some money to go racing some more. That is,
which is
epic.
awesome. Yeah.
Isn't that epic?
Hobby to a dream. Yeah.
I think that is absolutely fantastic. So, yeah, I can easily get behind that. So I'm going to tie it to an American car guy, though. Steve Saleen. He created Saleen, which was customizing and racing Mustangs for a long time, and then he got into some other stuff, including one of the greatest supercars ever made, the Saleen S7. If you've never seen it, look it up. It's amazing. At the time, it was the fastest car in the world, by the way, but fantastic. But Yeah, that's another guy that was customizing and selling these Mustangs so he could race, and he was very successful, and he had a very good business. They've been, as Ferrari has been, even though people don't often know that, in financial trouble off and on, and kind of hanging on by the seat of their pants, and continuing on. The Celine Mustang's still around. They still make them. They still sell them. So very cool. But
What about the Roush Mustang? Is it Roush?
Jack Roush,
Roush.
he's a very, very wealthy man.
Well, and it's only because I've seen a couple of them when I was working down at the station. I'd seen a couple of them pull in with the dealer guys driving them,
Yeah.
and I didn't know too much about them. I didn't know what. I just knew they were special Mustangs, and
Yeah, like the Celine, you could get it in different stages. So you could get a cosmetic package, you could get a handling package, and then you can get their top package, which is their supercharger, handling package, brake package, and graphics package or exterior package, and have yourself a full custom Mustang that makes 700 and some horsepower and handles really good and looks really good. So it's crazy, but that's what they do. And the Callaway was a company that worked with GM back in the mid to late 80s, and they had a Corvette that I can't remember how much power it made now, but it was a lot. It was like 700 or something, which in the 80s, you got to remember when the Viper and the ZR1 Corvette came out. ZR1 came out first, and I think it had 375 horsepower. People thought it was dangerous to have. Okay, the V6 Mustang or the four-cylinder turbo Mustang makes 325. So keep that in perspective. Now, I'm not saying it's as fast. I'm just saying that keep that in mind. So the Viper comes out with 400 horsepower, and everyone thought you'd die if you drove it. That's how fast they felt it was, which it is a really fast car. Don't let the number fool you. Both of them are lightweight cars with lots of power, lots of torque, and craziness. But I love that stuff. So you've got Celine, you've got Roush, you've got Hennessy. You've got all these automakers out there that make all these cool things for these cars. So what I always say is the factory does a pretty good job, but there's always something I can do to it to make it a little bit better and make it mine. And that's what I always look for.
Yeah.
Even though I've kind of taken that Cutlass to stock, which is kind of funny. But if you know me, it's kind of funny. But I do have a reason for that. And he's 13 years old right now. He doesn't need a 400 horsepower car to drive when he gets older. But
yeah, probably not a good idea.
No. Not saying that he couldn't do it and he couldn't handle it, but like everything else, you're always doing a little bit of gambling, right? Getting out of bed in the morning.
If you're looking at the way that we drove cars when we had a car to drive that was fun,
right?
Then 400 horsepower, that's a lot.
So that 403 runs fantastic and is fantastic, and we're segueing right into our cars, which is what I wanted to do. That's what it needs to be. I'm gonna replace some stuff on it to make it look better and look cooler and be in better shape and be more reliable, but ultimately it's going to kind of stay the way it is right now. So
how's the frame on it?
I'm looking forward to lots of cruise time. I've had the Cutlass out a lot already this year.
Well, how's the frame on the Cutlass? Is it in good shape?
Perfect.
Yeah?
It looks brand new under there.
Okay.
So that's the good part of it. The bad part of the Cutlass right now, the headliner was chewed up in it, or not chewed up, but it was like the seams had split, which happens a lot on older cars. So we ripped that out of there. I've got a brand new one. I got all new bows, metal bows, so I don't have to file and struggle with the ones that are in there. I'm just going to pull them out, put new ones in, and mount the new headliner, stretch it nice and tight. It should be good. Seats are perfect. Floor is perfect. Dash is perfect. Everything else is perfect. I'll probably put a trunk liner in just so it looks a little bit nicer, but the trunk is pretty clean. It's just steel. It's bare. And then I still have that electrical issue, and I've got to replace. I'm just going to replace all the grounds on the engine. I bought a whole kit of them, the heavy braided steel grounds, and I'm just going to put them in.
Yeah.
But other than that, you seen I put new rims and tires on it. I'm happy with that. It is a factory look. I decided not to go aftermarket, and that was a tough decision to make. But those rims came up, and I went for it. So I'm not sorry.
No. Why would you?
I'm glad. But so what's up with your car?
New Gauge?
What you doing with your car?
Right now, new center caps and new interior.
Yeah.
I'd like to do a full. I'd like to start up, like renewing the engine parts.
Yeah.
Just
Do you
to
mean
just
like
to
restoring the way they look or replacing
yes,
parts?
replacing like the air the what is it the where you put the chrome top on the
The air cleaner?
air cleaner.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd like to replace. There's just a few things I'd like to make look brand new.
Yeah.
Just to help the whole thing out. But
Sure.
it's not like performance parts. I mean, I'd like to have a better exhaust system and better spark plugs. But I'm all I want to do is restore it. That's
Yeah.
all I want to do. It's all I'm interested in, and that's expensive in itself.
It
I mean,
sure is.
just to redo the seat belts in there is over $600.
It is often more expensive to restore a car to factory correct than it is to modify the car and
Yeah,
make it something else.
it is. It is. It's hundreds of dollars more, but that's what I want.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be. I want it to be exactly what it is. A 1987 Camaro IROC
Yeah.
Z28. That's what I want it to be. I don't want it to be something else.
Yeah.
And when people see an IROC, that's what they want. It's not the car. That's not the car I'm going to keep anyways.
Right.
That very could well be Williams' car, or I might be going after something older. But that's what I'm always aiming for something older.
Yeah.
Yeah, always going back in time. I don't plan on keeping the IROC, but it's gonna stay for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I mean, we kind of make jokes about, or I kind of make jokes sometimes about that because I'm like, Will's owned like 6 Camaros or something like that, and a Firebird, and he's had all kinds of this stuff. But you know, I'm one to talk because I change my cars quite a bit too. I really do like my Cutlass though. It's the right one. I feel it has the right options. It has the right look, and I don't want to get rid of that one. Obviously, it was a 442. I'd be even over the moon for it, but I'm almost glad it isn't in a certain respect. Again, getting back to that 13-year-old boy, and you know, my Cutlass, in all honesty, is probably worth $7,500, and I'm comfortable with the insurance on it, and I'm comfortable maybe letting Jordan drive it from time to time. If it was a 442 or something rare, now he wouldn't be driving it. So,
Oh, don't feel bad, bro, because I had our dear mother asked if she could take the IROC out with
I heard
Rosie.
about it.
Yeah, and I turned her down. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
It's funny, isn't it? You know, like I let her drive my Mustang when I bought that, and that was way more expensive than my Cutlass, but I wouldn't. I might let her drive the Cutlass. I always say it's an automatic. It's not that powerful. You should be fine. You know.
Yeah. I don't want. After how many wrecks that Rosie's been in, I just didn't want her in my car.
Right.
Not comfortable. You don't tell me a story about somebody wrecking a scooter and then ask if they can ride in my car because they'll look cool.
Yeah.
That's not.
Well, and I'm still shooting for a Corvette one day, especially if Jordan runs off with the Cutlass one day. Maybe when I'm closer to retirement, I do want to get that Vet.
Oh, knowing you, brother, it won't take that long. It'll be another year.
Hey, Julie's got to say yes one time, and it'll be in the driveway the next day. That's all it takes. But so far, it's a no. She's aware of that, I think. She's on to me. 20 years of marriage will do that. Okay, so the Barriga Drive-In, and I talk about the Barriga Drive-In a lot, and we're going to be doing a lot more. I've been like promoting Muscle and Speed kind of across America, and we've even got people from other countries that follow us now, and I really appreciate that. I am going to start promoting a little bit more local so that our local people know that we're here. And I'm even thinking about maybe offering a sponsorship to a local race team. We've got a few guys that race around here, either dirt track or endurance or even dirt bike racing. Some of them do hill climb, which is really cool. I would like to do that. I would like to get more people around us aware of us as we move forward. So the Baraga Drive-In is having a car show and rock concert in the middle of a day on July 21st. It's a local band called Spun, and they're really good from what I hear. I have not heard them personally, but I hear they're fantastic. It just so happens that it's on my birthday. We have nothing to do with this event. I can't wait because I love car shows. I was just at the Escanaba car show, and it blew my mind. 500 cars. I know that Iola and St. Ignace and other ones have much larger car shows, but I had a blast. I'm getting old. I'm out of shape, and walking for 2.5 hours taking pictures of cars steady. I was pretty wiped at the end, but we had a great time. There was a little old man there. I shouldn't say little old man. It was an older guy there. He was selling his model cars. So he had model cars that he was putting together and painting himself, and he does a great job. And he was selling them for $20 a piece. So I bought one, 64 Galaxy 500, black with red interior. And he told me, I happened to choose that out of all the ones that he had sitting there. And he told me, he goes, well, that was my first car. And I said, you're kidding. And he goes, no, this was my first car. And so he and I were chatting a little bit about the Galaxies. And Tommy is there. Tommy loves Galaxies too. And he was cracking up, though. And he's like, you know what? I think I had more fun in the back of that than I did the front of it. I was like, I bet you did, you dirty little old man. That's awesome. So I do have my little souvenir from the car show. I posted like 200 pictures, and I've got more that I've been leaking out day by day where I took multiple pictures of certain cars. So there are things I wanted to say about it. It was a fantastic experience, and I can't wait to go to more shows this year. If you have a car, even if you don't have a car, if you just like the cars, go to them. It is so cool. The owners are it's one of those times, right? Everyone's in a great mood. Everyone there is in a great mood.
They
Bring
want
their kids.
to come look at their car.
Yeah, nothing bad is going to happen. Everybody's there in a great mood. They're there to have a great time. Don't be afraid to come up and say, hey, that's a great car. I talked to lots of car owners while I was there. It was a blast. And I can't wait for more. So this drive-in thing, he has usually hosts a car night during the summer where he has cars out and offers free dessert sometimes. And I've told it, like, my thought on that is he doesn't really need to do that. I think it's a nice gesture, but just having a place for cars to congregate is oftentimes enough. If you want to do like half price appetizers, I think that's a lot in and of itself, much less a free dessert. So,
like the drive-in.
Yeah, the drive-in's awesome, and I love going down there. Rob and Beth Reynolds are the owners. They're fantastic. We have a great time. So, but specifically on the 21st, if you're anywhere near us, you should come out to it. It's going to be a great time. I'm going to be there. Tommy's going to be there. I'd love for you to come up.
Yeah.
And
so
see it. But it's a Sunday. It's a strange day of the week to be doing it. But I think that's the way it worked out with Spun, because I seen they were somewhere else like just before that. So, but I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be a great time. I can't wait. And there's tons of other car shows, of course, coming up. I seen you have one that's coming up in Gaylord.
Gaylord, yeah.
What's that one?
Yeah.
It's like the bricks, something brick.
Back to the bricks.
Back to the bricks.
The only thing is this is the first time I've ever heard about a Gaylord car show.
Oh, okay.
Well, usually I go all the way out to Rogers City.
You're north of Gaylord.
Got the Nautical Festival in the middle of August, and that's another car show that I love to go to because it's small town, but the cars are excellent.
Right.
I mean, there's ones that you'll never see that come down to that place. You just won't see anywhere else. I don't know where they come from.
Well,
but,
unfortunately, I think a lot of these older car guys in particular, They only bring their cars out for car shows, and they put them back away, and that's why you never see them unless you're at a car show. So, but again, like, you never know what you're going to see. I'm pretty sure I saw an all-original 69 Yenko Camaro. That's the first time I've ever seen one. Had the 427, had the factory stickers, had the chalk marks. It had the right options. It was the right color. I didn't talk to the owner because at that point I was kind of like, okay, I've finally seen one. This is awesome. And I took pictures, and I didn't want him to burst my bubble. So I was like, yep, I'm calling it. Yenko.
No,
And I'm
we
out.
took kids. I found a 67 SS convertible Camaro, all original, at the Rogers City Car Show. And not only did the guy let my two kids sit in his car, but he also gave them the Matchbox exact replica of the car that he was driving there. So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I was pretty, yeah, it was pretty special. Yeah.
It is.
I don't know how many times that'll happen.
So yeah, I guess my other thing is, if there's a car show going on near you, get to it. Get to it. If you're anybody who's hearing this, I don't care if you're in Paraguay or you're in France or you're in Brazil, get to your car show. I'm sure they're having them.
Take the time out.
Yep. Who cares if you don't have one?
Hire yourself. Enjoy
the cars. That's why the guys are out. They're out to enjoy each other's cars and see other cars. I've had many muscle cars over the years. Tommy's got nice muscle cars. You've had nice muscle cars. I don't care. You get to a show like that, and I'm like a little kid all over again with those Matchbox cars. I can't wait to get around and look at them and talk about them and take the pictures. Everybody's that way. So it doesn't matter if you own one or not. That's why
How come you don't drive a car?
Yeah, Tommy, get the car out of the garage.
Yeah, get it out of the garage.
He is, and I, he meant to be on here. We tried to get together the other night and we didn't do it. Well, we tried to get together the past couple of weeks and haven't done it. But that's one of the things that Tommy does want to say. Something that he wanted to talk about was that he does intend to get his cars out a lot more this year. He's already had he has a 95, I think, Ford Thunderbird, 4.6 V8 automatic. He's got that out. He's getting that cleaned up. It was his parents' car, so it's a one-owner car. It's doesn't have a ton of miles on it. It's in pretty darn good shape. So he's getting that out, getting it cleaned up. And of course, he has his 69 Mach 1. That's the one he needs to do a little bit of work to, but it's pretty much ready to go. His intent is definitely to drive more this year. So my intent is always to drive it.
What about this vehicle you're looking to sell on Muscle and Speed?
Yeah, so nice segue. Muscle and Speed just got its business license. I've got my tax ID. I've got everything set up to run it as a business. We're going to be selling the merchandise. We're going to be ordering the hoodies and the T-shirts and the stuff. And we're also going to be selling some cars locally. And then hopefully someday beyond that, we'll be offering a sweepstakes where someone could win a muscle car. The way that I intend to run this is with those different revenue streams to drive the sweepstakes and of course provide content to people through Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all these other platforms. The one thing that I don't like about sweepstakes companies right now is they tend to offer you a car or cash. So we were talking about that, and I was like, well, let's say Speed Society just had one. It just finished. It was a 1,000 horsepower ZL11LE Camaro. It's a fully customized by racing. I mean, they do amazing cars. Those cars have to be close to $100,000. Maybe they are $100,000. So here's the problem with winning a car like that. The taxes on that car are going to be a lot. Like
a really nice
the value of the car will be taken into account, and Uncle Sam's going to come for his cut. So I think, this is my personal thought on this, I think a lot of people who win those things, because Speed Society does that, or $50,000 in cash, which is a lot of money. However, it's not the car. So I do think that some people end up taking the money because they can't pay the taxes on the car. So my thought on that was, and I'll be dealing more in muscle cars when we get to that point, classic stuff. But my point on that is, why not have the sweepstakes for the car and pay the taxes? Give the person enough money to pay the taxes on the money and the car. And then maybe a year's worth of Haggerty insurance, because I think Haggerty's a fantastic company. They're out of Traverse City, Michigan. I'm a big fan. I use them for all my stuff. And I have for years. They're awesome. But I don't understand why you don't do that. Because for me, I know this is sappy, but I really, truly love these cars. I'm not brand loyal. I've had Fords, I've had Chevys, I've had Oldsmobiles, I've had Pontiacs, and I've had Dodges, and, I'm not
Well,
brand
you
loyal in
can't
that
tell
way. I
somebody
love
that
them
they
all.
want a car. You
What's
can't
that?
say you just want a brand new car and then
Right.
say, but you have to pay $15,000 in
Right.
taxes.
That is exactly what
No,
happens.
that's not what people want to hear. When you hear you won something, that's yours. That's
Right.
supposed to be your thing you just won. It's not something you have to pay for.
Right.
That's not winning.
So, I mean, there'll be more info on that when we get to that point. But that's my intention. My intention is not to offer the car or cash. It's going to be the car and enough cash to pay the taxes on all of it. That's my thought. And we've already kind of checked out a couple of different sweepstakes companies, and I know a lot of people try to call BS online on this stuff, but this is what happens. So you sign an agreement with a sweepstakes company, you sign the car over and the money over to them. So at that point, I don't even have it. So it doesn't matter if one person or 1 million people buy tickets into your sweepstakes. The car is going and the money is going, and there will be a winner, and I'll either do okay with it or not okay with it, but that is how it goes. And so there is no shenanigans possible. It's all legally handled by these companies, and they work with the biggest corporations in the world on this sort of thing. And so there's nothing to fear, or there's no shenanigans in all that. They are a legal entity that is responsible for it. Okay. So that's who we'd be working with. But again, that's down the road. First off, we're going to get some merch in. We're going to sell some T-shirts. We're going to do some giveaways with the T-shirts. Try
awesome
to get it
hoodies.
out there. What's that?
Awesome hoodies.
Yeah, we're going to have hoodies, beanies, snapbacks, fitted caps, the whole nine. So, and then, the other intent, of course, is to do some muscle car sales locally, or car sales locally. I'm going to focus on muscle cars and four-wheel drive trucks, but we'll see what it is. If I have to, this is what I said about it. I want to do this, but if I get into a situation where I feel like I have to sell Honda Civics and Toyota Camrys, I'll just keep my day job, because I don't want to do that. That I would find no joy in passing that crap off on someone else. And I'm not saying they're crap cars. I'm just saying, like you were saying, it's that very weak sauce, weak need, bland styling. I know they're fine. They're fine. They get you point A to point B. They get good mileage. They're reliable. I get it. There's no passion in those cars. None. Sorry. Doesn't exist. So that's just how I feel about it. But pretty excited about it. Hopefully we'll have an announcement soon, and we'll start broadcasting that across social media. Like I said, we're going to try to focus a lot regionally with the car sales. So you'll see a lot more of that. It's exciting stuff.
It is exciting. Good stuff.
But, I don't know, man. I'm kind of all talked out. Oh, one more thing. So we're going to sign off, but on the tail end of this podcast, I did a quick 5-question Q&A with Will's two of his three, Olivia and little Will. So I'm going to attach that to the end of this, so it'll be on the end of the podcast. So after we sign off, stick around, hear the end of it. They're really cute. It's really funny. They love that stuff. So it will be on there. But I think we're done, man.
All right, brother.
All right, we'll do it again next Tuesday without
next
fail.
Tuesday, I'm ready. Yeah.
All right,
talk to you later.
We're out of here. Hi, this is Mike and Tom from Muscle and Speed, and right now I'm talking to William, Will's son. William, could you answer me 5 questions we ask every car guy we talk to?
Sure.
What is your favorite movie featuring cars?
Cars.
Cars. Excellent choice. Lightning McQueen, Mater, fantastic. Now, if you had a choice of drag racing versus track racing, which would be driving around a racetrack, which would you prefer?
What's drag racing?
Drag racing is in a straight line for 1/4 of a mile to see who is faster.
Track racing.
All right, good choice. Now, what is your favorite muscle car?
Is Firebird a muscle car?
A Firebird is a muscle car and a great one.
Then yes.
All
It's
right. Now, in your Firebird one day, we're playing pretend now. So now you're old enough to drive. You're in your favorite Firebird. What song are you listening to?
Another One Bites the Dust.
Nice. Good choice. Good choice. And lastly, who's going to be faster in that drag race? You and your Firebird or your dad and his Camaro?
Me and my Firebird.
Excellent. Well, that's it, Liam. Thank you for answering those questions.
You're
And good
welcome.
night.
And good night.
Hi, this is Mike from Muscle and Speed, and we've got Olivia here. This is Will's daughter. Now, Olivia, I have 5 questions for you that we like to ask every muscle car enthusiast who guests on our show. So, first question. What is your favorite movie featuring cars?
I'm going to have to say Cars 3.
Cars 3. Okay. Good one. All right. Now, trying to remember the exact order that I asked your brother. Okay. So, what is your favorite muscle car?
Is a Corvette a muscle car?
It sure is. And it's
Okay.
a fantastic muscle car. I currently would love to get one. However, my wife will not let me. Okay. Now, do you prefer track racing or drag racing? Track racing is when you drive around like a circular or oddly shaped track. And drag racing is when you drive in a straight line for 1/4 mile to see who's fastest